If you're going to feel yourself like newborns don't feel fears. They got from society, but universe gave me another chance to understood that more deeply. And I decided, okay, I will do everything that I'm afraid the most. And I literally started to do everything that I was afraid of.
If you've outgrown your current path, this is your invitation to step out of the hustle and into your purpose and passion. It can be healing, it can be fun, and it can be strategic. This is where you become the boss goddess in your niche and bring your dreams to life. If creating an intimate place to share your wisdom is calling you, to create your own podcast, to express the stories you want to tell, to shift into a fuller version of the soul-led business that is calling you, but it's feeling hard or like something is standing in your way and you may not even know what it is, then I invite you to the Voice of the Goddess. This is a free ritual guide that I created that has the journal exercises and rituals that guided me forward during my process of leaning in and embracing what is emerging for me, the deeper, more true expression of my own message and gifts. So if you're feeling that same calling emerge and you're ready to stop looking outward for answers and start trusting yourself and reframing your path as your power and reclaiming your voice as your sacred guide forward, then you can download the free Voice of the Goddess ritual guide by just going to boss-goddess.co/ritual guide, boss-goddess.co/ritual guide to get started, and I'll see you on the inside. What happens when life hands you a clear choice? Stay in the struggle or start over? This choice is often offered to many of us at several points in our lives, but not all of us have an experience that begs you to choose. In other words, when the situation is so bad that it can only get better if you choose to change it. My guest today is originally from Russia and came to this country, the United States, not by choice, but by necessity, if she wanted to get away from the abusive marriage she found herself in. And she did. She chose to leave and start over, not just for herself, but also for her young daughter. And really, that was just the beginning of her journey with getting curious and walking with her fears rather than letting them keep her small and stuck. Her name is Anastasia Love, and her ability to see possibility and each time ask, what is possible for me here, is so inspiring. I say this because I know firsthand how easy it can be for the anxiety and scarcity to take over in moments where you only have you to figure it out. But Anastasia has this unique ability to find the openness in each difficult situation and step into her next possibility with so much curious and open energy. Talking with her reminded me that we always have this choice available to us, that with every opportunity that might bring up fear, we are also met with the opportunity for possibility and to make the simple choice to be curious. As you listen, I hope for you to also consider where you might like to make that choice, to choose more curiosity in an area of your life or business, rather than stay stuck in the fear, and where you might be able to befriend the fear instead and allow it to guide you forward. Talking with Anastasia was so inspiring, and hearing all of the bends in her story where she approached them in this way. So I'm excited for you to hear how she approaches life and her business. But first, here's a little more about Anastasia. Anastasia Love is the founder of Studio Queen Hair, a master stylist with over 20 years of experience, and a woman whose life is a true story of resilience. 13 years ago, she immigrated to the U.S. with her 4-year-old daughter, not knowing the language and starting completely from scratch. After an abusive relationship, painful divorce, and a life-threatening moment that split her world into before and after, Anastasia didn't just survive, she rose. From that breaking point, she found the strength to build her own empire. That is how Studio Queen Hair was born. And it's a place where Anastasia says every woman is reminded that she deserves to feel like a queen. Here's my conversation with Anastasia. Welcome, Anastasia.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me here. I'm so excited.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you. And you have a really empowering and interesting journey about just your life and also how you started your business and how you empower women. So we're going to get into all of that. But let's start at the beginning because you are originally from Russia. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And then you came to the United States with your young daughter. But can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you or caused you to come to this country in the first place?
So yes, I came from Russia to United States 13 years ago because unfortunately I went through awful divorce with my ex-husband, and it was really hard moment in my life when I felt that I was destroyed, I was broken. The place where I felt really safe and happy wasn't there anymore. And only one thing that I was thinking about to start over somewhere. So just to stop feeling unsafety and unhappiness for me and for my daughter. And I couldn't stay in the place where I cannot grow, I cannot live, I cannot feel happy. And it was the first reason why I decided to move to United States. And by the way, United States never was in my dream. It was more like you must do that in case to have really different life and start over. I remember when I came to United States and with small daughter on my hands, and I didn't know English. I didn't have any friends here or family. I didn't have a job. And first year, I was thinking that maybe I made a huge mistake to come here because it was absolutely everything new for me. But at the same time, I understood that I was broken and there's no way back.
Mm-hmm.
It's only moving forward and try to find the strength to build your new future. It's some kind of like, I felt like newborn here. Newborns, they usually don't feel any fears and they just trying to explore the world. And I decided that probably I should feel like newborn baby and starting over in new country and with absolutely new system, traditions, new people. And for me, it's some kind of like rising, a phoenix rising from the ashes. Yeah, and I just understood that there's no way back. I cannot coming back where I have no one around me who can support me, who can help me, or can make me this feeling of safety. And I have only one option is move forward and build my new life.
Wow. That is incredibly courageous and bold and brave. And the fact that you were able to find that sort of reframe of just choosing to see it as a new experience and embrace all of the newness in a way that allowed you to kind of come back to what I want to say is like innocence, but like this idea of exploration versus like forcing and scarcity and like needing to make it work energy versus like, let me just open up to this experience and allow myself to really be here and move forward. I mean, that is already like very unique and hard to do. So I commend you for seeing it that way or finding the ability to make space to see it that way.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, like so there's so many questions I could ask, but but speaking of finding positivity, how did you find your next steps when you sort of reframed and got to that realization to just move forward?
As I said, like when I moved to United States, it was moment to start my new life. And I understood that starting new life, it wasn't only about me. It always also was about my daughter as well. And what really motivated me is completely get rid of old version of myself. This is what really motivated. I didn't understand those time, but I fully understand right now that the power and strength that I got from this step in my life when I decided to move to United States was how I can see myself in new version of myself, I would say. And this is probably what the most motivated myself. And also I looked at my daughter and I was thinking that it's probably not only for me, it's also about her, to give her future, to start feeling safe and build my life again. And I was so curious because I came to United States without any knowledge of how people live here. Because it's totally different system, and even finding a job, it's a little bit different. And how to become hairstylist here is a little bit different than in Russia. I was curious, like, what is going to happen next? And I was willing to take all steps to build my new life and new future. And I just was curious what is going to happen with me if I'm going to take all the steps.
Yeah, being curious is so powerful. And it sounds like you found a way to really sort of invite in a new version of yourself. Like you said, it felt like a phoenix rising. And that makes a lot of sense in the way that you reflect on that part of your life, because it seems like you just opened up to what the possibilities might be for you and might be
Yeah.
for your daughter, and how you can sort of change the outcome of what you've previously experienced and just paint a whole new picture for both of you here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And I'm so glad you're able to reflect on it that way, because I'm sure it was not an easy time.
No, it wasn't, but I enjoyed every step of this journey.
That's so wonderful. And you mentioned hair, that so you have a business called Queen Hair Studios here in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But you also shared with me previously that you've always loved hairstyling, and that's something that you started at a pretty young age, and that it was a little different trying to get a job here. So what was it like trying to lean back into that passion and profession compared to doing that in Russia, and what you had to do to sort of start on that path here?
Actually, I didn't know that it's going to be totally different experience. Even to get license in Russia and United States, it's totally different, because in Russia, you don't have to be a licensed stylist to start working as a stylist. I was lucky because what I want to do for my life, I knew in pretty young age. I started to learn about hair in high school when I was 14. And after graduated from college, where I studied hair for 2 years, and I got my first job, I was lucky because I had a mentor over there. So
Mm.
this mentor, she didn't have any license, but she was so professional and she had a lot of clients, and I was so new for this profession, so I took a lot from her, like different knowledge, skills. So she guided me everywhere, and she shared her story with me that she didn't finish any school, beauty schools in Russia, so she just learned by herself. She visited a lot of like master classes and she learned like that.
Mm.
And I was so impressed by her story, and I started work in Russia as a hairstylist, and I worked more than for 10 years. And when I moved to United States with my baggage of experience, I was already like really good hairstylist, hair extension specialist. And I started to find the way how I can start working as a hairstylist in United States. And by the way, I didn't speak English those
Mm.
times. And some of my friends, they told me that I should pass some exams on state board to get my license, because I cannot work without license. They sent me book. If you know that it's like huge, like that book, Milady, it's called
Oh.
Milady. And you have to learn everything in this book to be able to pass this exam. First of all, it was devastating for me because it's a huge book. It's English. It's specific like words that I have to memorize.
Oof.
And first of all, I was devastated, but at the same time, I was curious, like, okay, I don't speak English, but at least I can practice. I can read this book. I can translate every word. I can memorize, and it helped me to start speak English. And also it's going to help me to pass my exam. And it took me 3 years to read this book, 2 or 3 years, something like that. And every page I translate, I try to memorize. It was huge, unusual experience for me. And I failed 2 exams to get my license. But for third time, I got my license. And it was some kind of relief for me because like after all these years trying and memorizing this huge book, I finally got my license. And it was a moment when I decided, okay, probably it's time when I can move forward. So I started to speak English. I got my license. Everything looks good and beautiful to move forward for my next step. But I was feeling fear for each step of this journey. But at the same time, I had 2 options. Okay, you can give up and just forget about what you're doing, forget about your passion, forget about your job, doing hair. And it was my passion. I would not lie. It's what I do for all my life. Or I can take every strength in my arm and start learning and start memorizing and finally get my license. So this is how I got license. And after that, it was like doors open for my next step to create Studio Queen Hair, because Studio Queen Hair wasn't able to be open because of my license.
Sure. Wow. That is, I mean, what a hurdle and what determination to just, like you said, you have 2 choices, like let it go and give up or keep trying. And it's amazing what can come from something that we feel is such a part of us when we're passionate about something like that we know we're meant to do. So thanks for sharing that. My parents are not from this country as well. And, they share their early stories of not knowing the language and how hard it is to find your way and push forward when you don't know anyone and you don't know the language and you don't have the tools or the support or anyone cheering you on. And it's difficult. So
it's difficult, but it's possible.
it is possible because they did it and you did it.
Yeah.
And you really do have to kind of lean in fully in a way that maybe you've never had to before. So, yeah. But let's go to how you started your business, because you said doors started opening. So did that take some time? One, did you always want to own your own business, your own studio? And then how did you start taking those steps towards that dream?
It's so funny because it wasn't really easy decision for me, because all my life, I would say like almost 10 years in United States, I faced like small fears that stopped me of opening Studio Queen Hair or doing some things about opening a business. So it was slow for me because of my fears. And it's so funny when I thought about this kind of fears. It's so funny because I already faced like many huge fears in my life. And I overcame these fears, such as moving to United States without English, without family, without friends, without job, found the strength to build my new life. But I was afraid to do some small steps that we probably should do like every day to get to the next level. I had a lot of fears in this case, but at the same time, I tried to overcome every fear. I tried to push myself and I tried to do the best what I can do. And when I opened Studio Queen Hair, it was pretty random decision because I don't know, like I'm the person who lived in fears. I don't know how to explain. And right now I can say that I don't know even why I lived so many years in this fears like around me. And the opening Studio Queen Hair was huge step for me and huge step for my future.
Yeah.
But still, it didn't help me to overcome these small fears. So I usually always ask myself, like, okay, I started to speak English, but my fears was like, if people don't understand me, what will happen, or how I can connect with other people to grow my business, because I was shy to speak with them.
Yeah.
Like, I was even shy to speak about my business. I was shy to speak about, like, what vision do I have for this business, because it's not business. This is my life. This is what I do for my life. And all these beautiful moments I couldn't share with anyone because these blocks that stopped me. But I still tried. But like, I always think that universe or God or something on the sky probably sees us and they guide us. And sometimes they guide us not the way that we prefer. And probably universe decided, like, oh, come on, girl, like, you lived in fears for 10 years already, so probably you have to do another step. And in this case, universe gave me the worst situation in my life. In 2023, I was facing almost, like, I would say, death. And this situation completely changed my mind about fears that everybody feels every day.
Wow.
So
Okay. So first of all, you're so normal. I think this idea of feeling afraid that we're not going to be accepted, understood, that people won't understand what we're trying to bring to life, that people won't want to connect because they won't get it for various reasons, or, fear around wanting to be as visible when we are creating something that's so connected to who we are. A lot of my listeners are creatives and empaths and people who relate to sort of creating a passion and putting something out there. And it's very common to kind of go, well, I want to create this, but what if people don't like it? Or
yeah,
what if they don't understand, And I relate to that as well because I'm very much the same, where I have to be doing something that I love, but yet that comes with its own baggage of things that I made it mean something about me versus just if someone didn't like something, maybe it was just something that, didn't work for them, or, has nothing to do with us, but it feels that way, especially when we're creating from the heart. So you're very normal in feeling like that. I'll just put that out there. So if someone's listening and they're relating to how you're feeling, they understand that it's part of the process. But these things can really shift when something big happens in our life that shows us that that stuff isn't the point, right? Like the point is to live your life true to who you are. So can you tell me a little bit more about what happened in 2023 and what kind of shook you into this sort of presence and sort of seeing it in a new way?
So on Christmas Day in 2023, I was hospitalized with severe pneumonia that affected my heart. I was literally on the edge between life and death. And, like, at this moment, to be honest, you don't feel any fears, none. You just feel emptiness. And thanks to doctors, they saved my life, but healing process took almost like 2 months. And I felt so weak and I couldn't work. I couldn't enjoy my work. I couldn't walk for a long time. So, but at the same time, I had a lot of time to think, which is I'm so grateful. And I started to understand that in our life, the worst situation usually lead us to see much bigger picture. Unfortunately, but that's my truth. That sometimes if you don't see like bigger picture, universe or somebody from the sky can send you the awful war situation in your life because they want to show you another way, another journey that you have to follow. And I was spending a lot of time to think about the situation, why it's happening with me. Like, first worst situation in my life was divorce, when I have to change my countries to start another life, and which was so hard for me. And right now, this is happening for me. I almost died like 1.5 years ago. I started to think that every situation, worst situation, gave us for to start to understand where you stand and what you should change in your life in case to get better. So it's some kind of guidelines for us to change our environment or our thoughts. And happy moments, it's our rewards for growing. So this is how I started to see everything what happened in my life. And since then, when I recovered, I decided like, you cannot spend your life like that. You just simply don't have time to be fear something like really small, because you never know what happened next, what happened tomorrow, what happened in 1 month. You never know. And if I want to achieve some goals, if I want to achieve next level, next steps, I have to overcome that I afraid the most.
Mm-hmm.
So it was some kind of awakening call for me. And I started to understand that again, like, if you're going to feel yourself like newborns don't feel fears. They got from society with time. But universe gave me another chance to understood that more deeply. And I decided, okay, I will do everything that I'm afraid the most. I will go there because this thought about what next, what I will get when I will overcome this fear. I was just curious, and I literally started to do everything that I was afraid of. So I'm afraid to talk English. Let's do all podcasts that I can. Let's book all appointments with all people to get them know me and know about my brands. I'm afraid to be on stage and public speaking. Let's go there. And, I remember my first time when I was on stage and I prepared myself and I tried to memorize everything that I should say on the stage. And I still have this video of my first time on stage, and I was so shy. I couldn't even look in front of the people who stayed there. But after that, I felt relief and I felt happiness. So I think if we're gonna try to push ourselves little bit by little bit every time to overcome small fears, this is how we grow. We don't have another choice to grow. There are no other choices, no other journey to grow than overcome every fears in our life. So was really amazing moment. Beside that, it was worst moment in my life, but I always try to find the best part from each worst situation. And I think everybody have to try to find positive from the worst situation, because all worst situation lead us to much better. We just have to see them differently. We have to try to find why it happened with me, what universe want to show me. Not just, oh, I'm so poor. Yeah, I cannot work. No. You cannot work right now, but you have time to think about what you're going to do in the future. And you have to find this strength to move forward anyway.
Yeah, that's amazing that you're able to, again, just reflect and reframe in those moments that can really go another way, right? There's always the other side of that coin where you can feel sorry for yourself and you can wonder why this is happening to you. But you really have this idea of, how can I make this experience for me? How can I make this serve my life? How can I take what I'm learning and take these moments and do something with what I have, versus feeling like something has been really taken away from you. And I'm sure those feelings were there too, because what a hard time, and you're battling life and death in that moment specifically. But to be able to kind of resurface and find the gratitude and find the lesson, if you will, and find the way to yet again transform your life so that you can better serve yourself and the people around you. Because it really does have a ripple effect when we can create those changes, because it helps other people engage with you, learn from
Yeah.
you, see themselves in your experience, or learn something from you. Whatever it is that you're out there putting yourself out there really gives the world an opportunity to grow with you.
And to be honest, I would say my life after everything that happened with me, my life is more interesting right now when you're chasing you like every situation. And right now I look at some kind of fear that I have, and I don't afraid anymore. I just see this fear and I think like, okay, let's work on that. It's so interesting because it makes our life more interesting and more funny sometimes even.
That's so true. That's so true. It allows for more opportunities. It allows for you to continue to be curious, like you've shared throughout so far. Curiosity has been a big thread, which I always say curiosity is kindness. It's very connected to being kind to ourselves and kind to others, asking a question instead of assuming something or shutting it down. Curiosity is very open and inviting. So that's a very growth minded way to move through these moments and to go, huh, I wonder why that happened. Or how interesting that I'm feeling some fear right now. What is that about? What can I do? That's a very different approach that allows you to have a more interesting experience, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. You've also shared with me before that you're really looking for ways to find the most joy. So when you decide to do something, rather than focusing on, what am I going to get? What's the outcome? What's the like let's say, oh, I'm going to do this because it sounds like a good idea or I'll make a lot of money versus like, this is going to be a fun, joyful experience and I'll feel good if I do this. How did you start leaning into or seeing things from that perspective? Did that come from this incident as well, or has that always been your approach?
I would say I always thought that successful business is about hitting big goals, of course, creating something big, and all of this it's really matter, of course, but at the same time, because I overcame a lot of different situation and it opened something a little bit different inside of me, which becomes so important. And for me, I never was a person who can build business without enjoying what I'm doing. So for me, business is equal love and joy what you do. I cannot imagine myself doing some kind of business that I'm not enjoying to do. So, and for me, it still matters to set big goals and achieve big goals and grow big businesses and have beautiful future. But at the same time, I would like to wake up every day with peace in my heart,
Mm.
and have this joy and see my clients smiles. And this is why I work with people and my business based on one question. Will it make me happy or it will make my clients happy?
Mm.
So I stopped chasing only outcome from this business, but I started to focusing on what's really lighting me up. And it's smiles on the face of my clients, of course, and their emotions, their connection with me, because I feel deeply their reaction and their emotions after they getting hair extensions, because
Mm.
my brand is about hair extensions. And I truly believe that hair, it's not about only hair, it's about confidence, also healing. And if you get this confidence and beautiful look, you can probably overcome like any fears in
Mm.
this life. So this is how I see business, especially Studio Queen Hair, and this is how we work in Studio Queen Hair. And our motto is "Be the Queen," and this is exact emotion that I want to bring to my clients. So feel like a queen and be the queen.
I love it. Yes, confidence is such a game changer, and it's a word we throw around a lot, but the truth is, without it, it's very hard to feel present in your experiences and feel like you're, in control of what you want to create. So having that confidence is a huge shifter. And yeah, when we feel good about how we look, that's a big part of that. Yeah. How would you say for someone listening who wants to tap into that a little bit, how can we start to shift that in our own lives and start planning for joy versus maybe outcomes and really focusing on that fulfilling experience you just shared?
I would recommend maybe to start asking yourself every day when you have some decision to make, does it make me happy or does it make me feel alive? If the answer yes, so probably yes, go for it. If the answer no, probably or you should sleep over a night with this question and come back to this question or this situation a little bit later, or maybe just forget. Because for me, it's really important. I ask myself every day, like, do I want to do that? It's going to make me happy. It's going to help me to feel more comfortable, or what it's going to bring to me and to my business and to my clients and all my team.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say I would recommend to start asking if you really want to do that, or you want to do that because you want to show to someone
Mm.
that, look, I can do that. But at the end of the day, if it's not going to make you happy, what the reason to do that?
Yeah.
Start to do something for yourself first to make you happy, because when you're happy, you can give this happiness to people around you. This is first step for to start changing your life. Listen to your heart and listen what you really want to do.
Yes, I love that. Thank you. And it's so true. So many of us are focused on what the ego wants, the ego who is like, show everyone that you're capable or show everyone that you're smart or
Yeah.
whatever, message that we learned somewhere along the way that we've put at the top of our value system. But you're right. It's really just shifting into putting your joy and happiness at the top of that value system and checking in with that so that the other stuff starts to not be so loud.
Yeah, and especially nowadays we live surrounded by social media. We see different situations, different people, different opinions, and
Mm-hmm.
we can just simply lose ourselves in this huge amount of different opinions. So it's really important to stay focused on yourself and think about you at first.
Yes, yes. I notice a lot of people have a hard time trusting that voice or knowing what, or like really understanding what makes them feel joyful versus all the noise that you just described. It's so true. It's so noisy right now. Do you have any tips on how to tap into that heart center, that voice that's true?
It's so interesting because I went through a lot and I built myself, and I'm so proud of myself, the person whom I become right now, but I still control every emotion
Mm.
that you can lose yourself in one moment. It's so easy nowadays, especially. And I learned how not to make decision right away,
Mm.
even if you think that, okay, I can solve that right now, like I'm gonna do these steps and make a decision. Maybe you have to try put you a little bit back. And I usually, when I don't know is it right decision or it's wrong decision, or what should I do, if I have these doubts, I will not make any decisions. So I will let myself sleep one night, maybe 2 nights. And after that, you can be so impressed because situation can change. If you know the answer like right away, so probably, yeah, this is what you have to do. But
Mm.
only if you have doubts about something, let it go for 1 or 2 days and let's see, maybe you're going to change your decision. This is how I try to control every decision that I make in nowadays, right now.
Yeah, that's so simple to do and so smart because oftentimes we feel like we have to decide right now. Someone's putting pressure on us or, for whatever reason. And sometimes we just think we have to make a decision right away when we really don't. And I've been practicing that too. And
Yeah.
it's really changed my business as well. And just taking my time a little bit more not, answering people right away and making space to ask myself the questions you just shared about, what do I want? Does this benefit the business? Does it benefit the team? Will this be the right project? Things like that can often, I should say, are good opportunities to take some space as well. So I agree. It's such a game changer if you just slow down a little bit and take some time.
Yeah, the world will not change in one day while you try to get good decision. Nothing will happen.
Yeah. And if it does, then it wasn't a good idea to begin with. If something weird happens, like I've had that situation too. But then that shows me like this is definitely not what we should do because it's so reactive or has that energy. Thank you so much for sharing your story and guiding us along the way with your curiosity and how you tap into your power. And it was just a very real and honest conversation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Can you share with... Oh, good. Sorry.
No. You're good.
Can you share with us how to connect with you?
We have Instagram and website, Studio Queen Hair, also TikTok, and every social media start with Studio Queen Hair. You can always reach us in any social media. And if you have any questions about hair, about look, about everything, we are here to help you. Anyway, I would be so happy.
Thank you so much. Once again, this was such a lovely conversation.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you so much for listening to the Boss Goddess podcast. And if you're ready to stop looking outward for answers and start trusting yourself and looking inward, to start reframing your path as your power and reclaiming your voice as your sacred guide forward, then be sure to get my free Voice of the Goddess ritual guide at boss-goddess.co/ritual guide. I'll see you on the inside.